Okay, so today I'm working on a John Deere 5105 tractor. Haven't been able to find a whole lot of videos on YouTube, so I decided to make this one. Pretty well into it, but I'll go back as I put things together, show how to take things apart. The service manual helped a little bit. Some things you just kind of have to figure out on your own. I already removed, of course, both back tires, the rollover protection, the fuel tank, and all the lift arms, and got them out of the way. I was having trouble with my screen, kept clogging up with brake material, so I knew I was going to be in for a brake job. Of course, this one is the hydraulic wet brake system. I've got the filter removed and it looked pretty good. I was surprised it actually looked pretty clean. I did do a change of all the hydraulic fluid filter about a year ago, but it actually looked pretty clean. When I pulled the screen, it had all kind of brake material over it. I don't know that it was allowing any hydraulic fluid to pass through it, so I knew it was time to tear into it. Was having problem with the lift actually going up and down, and also the steering. I think it may have actually hindered hydraulic fluid from going to the pump itself, and it would real erratic on the steering and everything else. So got everything removed. The brake adjustment cables are gone. Got them down there, as you can see. As we roll around to the back, I'll show I've already pulled this side. Came off fairly easy. I was actually surprised. Once the bolts were removed, it kind of came right through. Used a crane hoist, our engine hoist, and it came right off. I was able to maintain it. If you can look and see in there, that is brake material, and it was caked inside there. There's some of it right there that I pulled out. One of the brake discs actually looked pretty good. The other brake disc had no brake material pad on it. It was all inside here. So next step is I'm going to be taking, you can see I've got Allen key on there now, Allen wrench on there. I'm going to take these bolts out, the pins out, get that all cleaned out inside there. I've already removed the springs that hold the other brake plate on, and we'll get this one taken apart, and I'll show you where it looks like when we get back together. Okay, I've got the plate back in there, got it all cleaned out. There was a lot of brake material down inside there. I laid it over and it all come rolling out of there. So got it all cleaned out, got it cleaned out with a towel to get all that brake material out. Got this plate back in. The bolts line up, so there's only one way it can go in there. I was worried about how that would come out and match back up, but there's only one way it goes in. Got the clips back on the screws and ready to reinstall some more of the new parts. There's the other plate that goes against that. I'll clean those ball bearings up, get them in place, seal that one on top, and then it'll get a brake disc, a plate, another brake disc, and another backing plate, and it'll be ready to reinstall. So I will show you that when I get to that point. Okay, just worth mentioning here, when you reinstall this, your brake lever actually slides into a groove on this plate here. As you can see, the groove right there, and it'll slide right down into that right there, and then all your tabs line up all the way around there and there, and then that plate's in place. So the next thing to go will be the rest of the backing plates and disc plates, and I'll get you that when I get to that point. Okay, I got it all back together. It's all back together now. So got the two main plates on that are down at the bottom, like that right there. Got the ball bearings back in there. Then it's a brake disc, retainer plate, brake disc, retainer plate. And they're all held in place with those tabs. You can see there on that side. And I'm getting ready to put it right back in there. So that'll be the next step. And I'll pick up from there. Okay, I got that side of the axle back on. Got it all tightened back up. Went on pretty easy with the help of another person. Definitely wouldn't want to try it by myself. So now I'm moving on to this side. Gonna break it loose from the housing and get everything set up and take it off. So I will check back with you as soon as I get that done. Okay, I got all the bolts broke loose. Some of them are out. I've got just the top ones holding it in place. Got it all held in place with the engine hoist. So once I break those loose, I'll break the seal against the housing and slide it out of there, and then we'll see what we look like on the inside of this one. I forgot to mention on the other side, the brake disc that I took off, they were in pretty bad shape, and I don't see it right now. There they are. The one looks pretty decent on one side, but you can see all the brake material is gone on that side, and this one, it's all gone, and it ate it all to pieces. So this side I still had brakes on, and it was pretty tight, but it would stop the wheel. The other side, the pedal goes all the way to the floor. It moves the mechanism for the brake lever actually inside the housing, but there's no brakes whatsoever. So kind of interested to see what I find when I open this one up. So as soon as I get this off and flipped over, I'll show you what I find. Okay, this may be a little difficult to see, but I just removed it, set it down on its end. As you can see, if you can see, there's brake material all in there. Let's come off of the brake pads. There's the shaft that actually goes into the rear. All the bearings on that side and the other side actually look good in there, so there was no play in it at all. So we'll get these plates and discs changed and continue on. Okay, maybe a little hard to see, but I got all the plates out of this one and got the brake pads ready to go back in, and the plates, they're underneath it, but I got them wet with hydraulic fluid, so they're ready to go in. The ones that came out of it, they're down there in the bottom of that box, and there was no brake material at all on them. All the pad was gone. That's why I could push the brake and it wouldn't hit anything. You just go all the way down. But I got it all cleaned out, looking good. It was, of course, on the bottom where it sits, it was all caked up in these little side crevices here and had collected there. So I got it all out of there, got down inside of it cleaned up, so it's ready to go. All the gears look good. I'm gonna get everything cleaned up, all the surfaces cleaned up, then get all these plates in, bolted back in, seated, ready to go, and we'll get it put back on the tractor. And then we'll fill her up with hydraulic fluid and make sure there's no leaks before we go any further. All right, got the right side back on, got it all bolted back up, got the hydraulic filter on, cleaning the screen, and then we'll put some hydraulic fluid in it, crank it up, make sure we don't have any leaks, and go from there. Hopefully that will solve my problems, or the brake problems anyway, and we will see. Okay, I got both axles back on, bolted down, got the filter on, and got the screen which sits right inside this housing. It's two 15mm bolts. You undo those, pull it out. There's a rubber gasket goes around that outer housing, and the filter screen is on the inside of that, and it just pulls out of there. I got it all cleaned out, cleaned the best I could out of the bottom of the pan, got it all put back together. So we're starting the process of putting everything back together on the tractor. So the next thing will be setting the brake levers back on and getting them all bolted back up. That was another thing that wasn't really sure how to do, but this little piece here actually goes through this way. It goes, as this goes in, it'll go through, and then when it's in place, you just kind of tap it in and it taps out. That wasn't real clear in some of the service manuals. It said you had to put a press on it, all this kind of stuff. I just tapped it with the hammer to get it started. It started moving, and then I just used a pin punch and just punched it right on through, and it came right on out. So I'll just drive it back in once I get ready to set my brakes. I'm sure I'll have to set them a little bit. I'm not sure. I would imagine they're out just a little bit since I've got full brake pads again. So I'll adjust those, get those set, make sure my pedals are where they need to be, and start putting it back together. Okay, so I've adjusted this lever here. As you can see, it fits right there in the hole pretty good now. It will go back some, but that's right at the edge of where the brake's starting to be applied. Probably going to adjust that out just a little bit more, just so it's not on the brake, just sitting at the idle or without any pressure on it. There we go. That looks a little better there. And like I said, this just kind of slides right back into place like so, and then clamps down. And that is that. I've already got the one on the other side, and my pedals are all the way at the top, but I did notice one of my springs is a little lax, so I will have to replace that. I'll walk around here and show you. This one's a little easier to get to, but it's there. I just gotta tighten up the locking nut, and I'll tighten that down. But now this spring here, it's not holding the pedal all the way at the top, but before this would go all the way down to here and not catch anything, but now I've got pretty good catch with it there, and same on the other side. So we'll see how we're doing with it. Okay, so I'm getting the rollover protection back on. It's got the 4 large bolts right there. Putting nuts back on it, got it put back in place. This goes on, and then the gas tank goes on. But I also will reconnect these wires. They go there. I just got those tucked up out of the way for now. You can see the wire sticking up there, and it's got, of course, this plastic thing that goes over, keeps all the wires together. And then I'll also put a zip tie on to hold everything kind of in place like it was. I did cut a zip tie off of it so I could keep them out of the way. So I'll get that back on there, get all the wires stashed away, and continue on. Starting to come back together, but that'll help you if you ever had to take it apart. These were pretty tough to break loose. These 4 bolts here, I actually thought I was going to have to cut them and go get replacement bolts and nuts, but cheater bar and breaker bar, and they finally came loose. I soaked them overnight with some PB Blaster WD-40, and it was still tough. So those are on there pretty good. But we're moving on, and I'll come back show you as I'm putting the fuel tank back on how it all kind of slides back in place and mounts up. All right, I got everything put back together for the most part that I want to put together for right now. I got the tires, of course, back on. I don't have the fenders on, but I did put the gas tank on. I wanted to crank it up, make sure I didn't have any leaks and that everything was functioning like it was supposed to. With the gas tank itself, it's not much that holds it in place. You got these little bands that come in here, and they come down and screw in right there underneath there. You take those nuts off, the bands will come off. Of course, then the tank will slide up and out of place. It's got actually 2 tubes, fuel lines that go to it down under here. One's your primary, then your secondary that comes in, high pressure line. So not much to that. And of course, then you've got your electrical connection that goes to your sending unit, so it tells you how much fuel you have in there, and it just slides right out. You do kind of have to manipulate it around your gear shifter and your PTO lever, but it will rise up and slide out of there. I did get the rollover protection bolted back down, got it on, got the arms back on, everything's bolted in place like it should be. So I cranked it up and ran it, got good brakes on both sides, which I have never had since I've owned the machine. The only thing that I did notice is I do have a small leak on this side. I don't know if you can see that under there, but it drips about 1 drop every 2 to 3 minutes. So it's not a major leak, but it is something that I want to get taken care of eventually. I will get the fenders put back on. I'm going to run it for about 5 to 7 hours or so, and because there was still a lot of stuff inside the main casing that I couldn't get out, some of that brake material. So I'll run it a little bit, let that filter out what it's going to filter, and then change everything again, see if I can get any of that out of there. I got another filter to put on there, and when I do that, I'll probably tear that left side down and see if I can get that leak to stop, which I know will be taking just one side apart, so it won't be that bad since I've already been there. But I was having trouble initially. There was no steering at all. Like I said, the arms wouldn't go up and down, but now that I've got this all back together, it works like a charm. Drives good, steers good. There's no squeaking or missing inside the hydraulic system at all. Lifts good, and both brakes work phenomenally well. Still got to get that spring on this side. You can see that one still drops down just a little bit. The spring's not holding it up. It's real loose in there. So I'll get that spring. That's not a problem. But everything else is working good. So hopefully this will help some of you that are looking to do the same thing. And I'll probably do another video tearing down this left side again, so you can get a start to finish of what it actually entails. But thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it, and till next time.